Hello and welcome to the first Kemp Live Inside of You. We're going to be covering the subject of ensuring application experience within your IT network. Thanks for joining me, Sid. Great to see you.
Hey Tim, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Wow, this is a new way of us working, I suppose, isn't it? Video conferences, video webinars, all these things that we've done for many years, and now has become the way in which we're communicating with our customers and partners.
Yeah, everything's going digital. This might be the new wave of the future as we know it anyway.
Certainly is. I still recall. In fact, it's been three months. 3 months ago today, on the
Mhm.
11th of March, you and I were at the Cloud Expo. That was the last time we saw each other.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Doesn't that feel like a lifetime ago?
It does.
Yeah. So what have we been up to in the last 3 months without being sort of together in cars, driving up and down the country,
Mm.
and meeting with our customers? It's been a different. It feels so much longer than 3 months. I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely does. Days blur together. You kind of think it's say Tuesday, it's say Thursday.
Yeah, what day is it today? What time is it? Is it weekend? Do I come to work? Do I work from home? Bit of a different
Exactly.
approach. So what have we been up to then for 3 months? What have we found with customers? We've all been faced with this exact same problem of unable to go to the office,
Mm.
unable to go to customer sites. How do we feel, or how do we maintain some form of business continuity, the scalability that customers have had to meet, and more importantly, how customers have been meeting those business disaster recovery plans? It's been some of the conversations we've had to get involved in,
Yeah.
the assistance we've been providing, the customer examples we've been seeing, the things that people have been doing to really just try and get themselves into some form of business normality. Just spend perhaps a couple of minutes just going through some of those with you, if you want, Sid, and we'll see
Yeah.
where we're going, see where we're going to be in a couple of weeks, couple of months. Hey, what's the
Yeah.
new norm going to look like for us?
Yeah. Let's go.
Definitely. So let's start with ourselves. From my point of view, working from home, and this is what I do. I've got a fantastic opportunity to have a great space where I can actually work from. So working remotely is something that I do anyway. I know you do it, Sid. The whole team in the UK at Kemp will do it. But didn't we have to make some changes as a business? I know for me as a remote user, I just click on things and they kind of work. What did
Yeah.
Kem have to do to sort of get us all ready for that point when we were told, sorry guys, you can't come in the office?
Well, we had to do stress tests as well. We had to make sure that those who are working remotely, okay, they can access what these access, but majority of our colleagues work in an office-based environment, so they had to make sure they can log on to the application. They had to go on and do a stress test and say, okay, everyone log in at this time within your region to see how everything copes with it. We went, we did our stress test. We got the reports that everything worked fine, even better than imagined. So the fact that customers would have to do that, and we can imagine that there's a lot of customers, people, organizations that have had the business continuity plan in the back of their mind who thought, okay,
Yeah,
it's there when we need it, and now all of a sudden pretty much the entire world nearly would need it.
yeah. And what a difference that made. Obviously, for us as a business, we'd got plans in place. We were
Yeah.
all asked to carry out the stress test. For many of us, as you rightly say, it was just business as usual. But we did see a big shift of members of the team that had to move from their day-to-day work in the office, pick up their laptops, pick up the things that they would have used within the office, take them home, and then test
Mm.
that connection, for the fact that we were waiting for that point when we were told, sorry, offices are now closed. I know we had to make a few tweaks. There was probably a few users that needed a bit more assistance than others,
Yeah.
and not all systems, as with many businesses have faced, not everything is ready to work in that sort of environment when it's normally sat within an office with users on the same network. So that's where we've seen a couple of the challenges with the partners that we've dealt with, isn't it, Sid? With
Yeah.
with people now having to be in that 100%. Disaster recovery plans, as detailed as they can be, are based normally on perhaps a small fraction of
Yeah.
users, and maybe key users, that would work remotely. I know that when we first saw this going, the message boards, the marketplaces were going mad for people talking about SSL connections,
Yeah.
VPN connections, getting laptops, all these things to be able to generate that remote connection. But that then kind of led to another challenge that people might not have thought about. If you've now got 100% of your workforce that are now working remote that need to remote in, what sort of stress and challenges would that put on the things like the servers and the applications, and what resolves do companies have to look at, Sid?
Well, from a load balancing perspective, nothing actually changes that much because what changes is where you're coming in from. So normally, if you have internal users in an office, they would connect into their internal tunnel to get in. But
Yeah,
now everyone's working remotely, you have to connect through a remote tunnel. So it's just saying now accept traffic coming from a certain destination now instead of just a normal destination. The strain it would put on the servers, the resource you would need will probably be the same as always, depending on the workflow of different organizations that we come into contact with. But more or less, it's really where you're coming from rather than how much stress is being put on it. As long as people have the server demand to cope with it and their applications are hardy, then things will work out pretty well.
yeah. So that sort of brings to mind some of the other things that I saw a lot of people taking advantage of. They were putting in extra server resource
Hmm.
so that their RDS could spread across a couple more servers now because of the extra users. I also saw a couple of people reporting an increase in the use of cloud hosting.
Yeah.
So maybe some of those applications that would have resided on a single server
Hmm.
in their office location now resides across two servers in that location. Now, you've just mentioned there if they've got a load balancer, that's fine because the load balancer can say server one's busy, go to server two. What
Yeah.
now if they bring that third environment into that, which is the cloud? How
Hmm.
how does how does a load balancer take care of that?
Well, the good thing about it is that when we're looking at multiple sites or hybrid load balancing, one of the things that a load balancer needs to be able to do is we need to be able to say, no matter where you are, we need to get the connection that we have to you. So
Hmm.
whether it's in a cloud location, if it's in a private cloud or a public cloud, we need to be able to say, send it to this address. And then once we get there, the load balancer over on that side will take care of the rest. So it's really a case of you need to have the infrastructure that Kemp provides in place. So then you're able to facilitate all these things that happen. Because as you said, people have disaster recovery plans, but some people in the back of their minds will say, okay, I'll never have to put the whole company behind the disaster recovery
Yeah.
plan and have it work. And now
Hmm.
you do. So now you need to make sure that all the stuff you have, you either dust it off or you make sure you've been doing your regular tests on it to make sure it works and use that primarily until you're able to push everything back to the way it was pre-COVID, if that's possible.
That's an interesting point you just brought up there about companies' disaster recovery plans, and I've had some great conversations and been on some really good industry panels where companies have been sharing their sort of experiences and their thoughts. There was one I was on the other day with the Cloud Industry Forum where they were talking about the sort of challenges that businesses have had,
Hmm.
and one end user was volunteering the comment about the amount of laptops that he'd already got. He'd already brought them because they'd done some testing themselves internally. What would they need to do if users needed to work from home? So he went and brought a number of laptops pre-COVID, yeah,
Mm.
and he paid less than 400 quid a unit for them. And then he checked the price once COVID had happened. They were over a grand each. That was a
What?
big effect.
Wow.
We all saw, wasn't it? But aside from that, you've now got a lot of users. Let's think a little bit more about this sort of disaster recovery plan. You've got
Mm.
these users that are connecting in. They've all now gone home. Okay, they're all
Yeah.
now plugging in. They've got a VPN. They've got applications that are residing in a couple of different locations.
Hmm.
Nobody's allowed in the office. Government said you can't do that. You're now working from a home location. Great. You're connected to your internet. Now, hang on a minute, Sid. I don't know about you, but my home internet is nowhere near the speed of what you'd expect on a business park.
Yeah.
So, if as a user I'm now sitting there, I've got my laptop, and one user, I'm remoting in. What's the experience going to be like, and what part would a load balancer play in that? I mean, how's it going to make it better? How are we going to improve that experience?
Okay, so with that, we can do a couple of things. We can't, exactly you said, if your home experience is gonna be vastly different from your ones at your office, the load balancer will simply be able to achieve a bit more quicker response time on our side. Down from that, it really is down to the infrastructure you would have at your house versus what you would have in the office. But what the load balancer is going to do to help improve the user experience is anywhere that we can shave off milliseconds here, milliseconds there, to
Hmm.
make sure that it's just as snappy as you would expect it to be, um, within limits. Then where the load balancer is able to do that.
So you're not going to take my really rubbish 30 meg internet connection and make it super duper,
No.
or make it any faster. But what you can give me as the user and the experience, you can remove a lot of the other things that would reduce or affect that connection.
Yeah.
I'm connected into that, and my security parameters are in place. The SSL is taken care of, the authentication, and all these different things that a load balancer is going to deliver to make that
Yeah.
actual user connection and experience better.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's perhaps a misconception of where load balancing comes in for a lot of people. We're not going to speed up the broadband, but we're
No.
going to make that connection slicker and easier for people to use. No, that's good. So when it comes to the tools then that people are going to be using, I've heard lots of different comments now about VDIs, RDSs, always on VPNs. What part does a load balancer have in those areas to give it a better experience?
Well, we have a couple of things. One is that we offer what we call templates. So if you think about that, that's a pre-built piece of software that we can enable a admin users when they're setting up the solutions for the first time, that they
Yeah,
get the best practice. So out of the box, everything is done for you pretty much, and you have to do a couple tweaks here and there to make it customizable to your organization. That's going to be very powerful because you
mm,
probably have 10 other things you have to do. You're
yeah,
firefighting 10 other different things. And there's a load balance is something that takes 20, 10, 20 minutes at most, and everything else takes hours upon hours for you to do, then that's going to be a good saving of time for everyone else.
yeah,
At the same time, as I mentioned already, the ease of use and being able to connect to the VPN servers and everything else you have to do, a load balancer is going to be able to optimize the traffic on both ends. So we're getting the quickest route in and the quickest route out. That's what people need and want, because just like we do at home, we expect when we press a button, things happen pretty much instantly. So you
yeah.
want to be able to transfer that experience that we have at home or in the office to wherever else you are. Even if your connection isn't that great, the load balance will do what it can to maintain that experience that you've come to accept.
Okay, so not only is it going to make the user experience better because it's going
Hmm.
to connect to the right things, it's going to be checking where they're going, making sure they're connecting to the server that's got the best resource for them, the
Yep.
healthiest connection. But it's also going to make that actual deployment of some of those tools that little less complicated because of the templates that are available
Yeah.
that can be pre-built. That's a pretty good all-round way of looking at this sort of solution that can be used. Then sort of takes me back though to the sort of when we first started seeing people popping up on LinkedIn and showing their pictures of hi, this is where I work from home. I was even got involved. I was like, yeah, this is my home office. Look where I work. I'd love to see some of those desks now, to be honest. You
Yeah.
know,
It's a
three
whole
months
different story 3 months in.
3 months in of working from home. I know that could be a bind on anybody really to see how they continue to manage with that, and just keeping up with these day to day. I mean, for any companies, just keeping up with the infrastructure that's in place, the cloud transformation. Maybe you've already pointed to the fact that we can assist in all of these different areas.
Yeah.
And it's also good to point out as well that the tools that are available from load balancers is not just for when things fail.
No.
We're not at the point now where the systems within the office have failed. They're still there. They still need to be
Mhm.
accessed. But now we're at a point where even more connections are being made to them. So it's not just about systems have failed, or we need to load balance over to another. Well, that's failover. That's a different approach. What we're looking at here is, well, let's look at how we can share the load across multiple servers, multiple locations, so that the users are getting the best experience that they can, which is a great way for us all to be looking at how we can make sure our infrastructure is available and
Yeah.
applications are running as they should be. You mentioned some templates there that vendors like Kemp would offer. Are there any other features? What about different locations now? We're talking about an office location. We've got
Hmm.
hundreds of users. tens of users dotted in different locations. We've got cloud. We might have a couple of offices with different applications. Is there anything that makes that connection that little bit better?
Yeah, so this is where our the global server load balancing feature of a load
Right.
balancer comes in. So this is where we're now saying we're taking a step back. So now instead of saying I need to get to an application, or I need to get to a server, now we're saying I need to type in www.example.tim.com. And when I go there, I need to get me to a site that's closest to me. Therefore, we're going back to that user experience. We want to make sure that we reduce the time it takes for you to get to where you want to as little as possible.
Yeah.
So using geo load balancing from that, we're saying if you are based in Reading and you have a office in London, then we want to send you to that London site. Okay.
Hmm.
But if you're based in Stoke-on-Trent, for example, we want to send you over to a Manchester site because that's going to be the easiest and the quickest way for you to get what you need instead of having to go all the way to London. Okay. So doing all that, even with cloud locations, private cloud, public cloud, it doesn't matter. We're still giving people the flexibility and the fact that they won't know. The only people who know
Yeah.
what's happening around this is the actual admin users who see, okay, I can see connections went here, here, and here. This site failed for about an hour, so everyone was pushed everywhere else. And that peace of mind, that flexibility, the orchestration, the control, all that is built in, and that is what a true class load balancer should have.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to say that's what Kemp provides.
And that's where we've been having conversations with people, recalling some of the ones where people have got native load balancing technologies such as the Windows NLBs, and they're looking at those and they're not quite giving them this level, or they're not getting anywhere close to the sort of load balancing capabilities and security capabilities that are built
Yeah.
into a load balancing at the class of Kemp. So those sort of conversations are things that we are getting involved in now. So where are we going from here? I mean, we've taken up about 15 minutes of people's time now, so we'll perhaps just sort of close this off, and perhaps if there's any questions that people have been asking, we can look at some of those.
Okay.
But where are we going now? What's the sort of new norm going to look like for us? I mean, this working from home is the norm for you and me, but for many of
Yeah.
our customers, it's going to have to be something that they're going to have to adapt to. And utilizing tools like load balancers is going to help them do that, as we've just explained. So what are we
Yeah.
doing? Some of the things that we've been up to over the last couple of weeks, couple of months.
Hmm.
We're doing a lot of work with our influencers. We've had a couple of blogs that have been out there.
Hmm.
We've had the blogs there to explain how always on VPN can be used using the solutions such as Kemp. We've got ourselves advertising, doing a lot of information within the blogs such as Tub that we use. There's all these different tools that we're trying to get out there to help people understand where we are and how we can be accessed. And hence this sort of session that we're doing today is to really
Yeah.
show people how our products can be used. So we're here for questions. We want people to ask us if there are any particular questions they've got around the tools that we provide, perhaps some of the
Hmm.
subjects that we've just discussed. We perhaps take a couple of minutes now if anyone's got any of those. Perhaps see if any have come in, shall we, Sid?
Okay.
Let's have a little glance. Okay, so there's one that often comes up. Again, it's come up again here. Thanks to Tony for this one about Windows. We just discussed that. I think you might have put the question in before we'd asked it. Windows load balancers
Mm.
and the fact that people are using those. Are they not just the same as Kemp? Can you give us just a quick
Yeah.
view there?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you a quick one. So there are three main points you want to look at. Windows Network load balancing is vastly different to a Kemp load balancer. For one, we're looking at how are you able to address whether an application or server is online. It's very rudimentary in how they do it.
Yeah.
To not get too technical, effectively, there's just one way. It's effectively them saying, "Hi Tim, are you there?" And I'm hearing a reply back. That's very basic. You want to get a bit more in depth. You want to say, "Hi Tim, are you there? How's your day?" Et cetera, et cetera. The longer the phrase is, the more in depth I can get and see how much information and how things are going. Okay, number one. Another one would be such as how do I send traffic from a Windows Network load balancer to multiple servers? If one fails, how am I going to know how to respond and reroute traffic? How can I do it more efficiently? Okay, that's another one that the Windows NLB doesn't do as well. And the last one would be all about user experience. Okay,
Okay.
so it's something we call session persistence, but I'll leave that for another point. In effect, that you need to have an intelligent way of tracking who does what, where, and who goes where for how long. And we're better at that.
Fantastic. And if anyone wants to see or hear that in more detail, we've got videos, we've got conversation points, and we'll be happy to talk those through. So we've come to the point end of what we're here to discuss today, Sid. So we invite everybody to take a glance at what we offer at our website, kemp.ax/try. Take a glance at our tool, use it, see what we can provide. And we really want to thank everyone that's joined us for this new series. And we look forward to the opportunity to invite you to future. And we just thank everybody, and Kemp wishes everyone to ensure that you stay safe and you in this time of COVID. And we look forward to working with you during what we expect to be the new norm. And on that, we say thanks very much.